We'll start with this, Coach. Big game against Wyoming this week. Another tough test for you guys, Mountain West, but it's back at home. What are you guys preparing for this week when it comes to the Cowboys?
Well, I think we got a lot of work that we need to do on Air Force, and that's where you always must start. Certainly, they are experienced to no end. You know, you look at how many of those guys that are fourth-year, fifth-year guys that all played last season, and they've done it. You know, they've made sure when you look at the investment they've made in their program, how much they value guys having that fifth year of eligibility, and then also now the 6th year of eligibility with, with the COVID year also. And so they got a bunch of guys that have been there for quite some time and have played really good football for them too.
Let's talk about your team for a second. The offense looked back-to-back weeks that they really felt like they're starting to get into a rhythm with FAU and New Mexico. Have you seen that pattern at all?
No, because it's not a pattern. It's not a continuum. It's each game is its own unique contest, and so it's not a. Now that doesn't make for as good a probably news when you say, well, I'm supposed to create this wild momentum or things are going this way. No, that's not accurate in terms of truly the way that it works when it comes to football. We've had a bunch of different combinations. We'll more than likely have more combinations going forward, and so it's good for guys to get to play, and I think we'll benefit from it, like you've heard me say. I think for the guys up front, I think especially in 2023 here in a couple of years.
When you look at Wyoming, are they another just Mountain West Conference opponent? Do you consider them a rival? How would you look at them?
Yeah, we don't have another opponent on our schedule out of our 12 games, and that's who we play this week, and they've really gotten off to a fantastic start. And like I said earlier, I mean, there's just they may be the most experienced team in college football, and I don't think that's I think that's really point on in terms of how accurate it is.
Injury-wise, is any of those injuries season-ending with Cormier, Patterson, Lakota Wills at all?
Yeah, we'll play with who's able to go, this week.
Final question for you, baseball guy, big Yankee-Red Sox game at Fenway tonight. Are you going to be watching it? And who do you
No, I
think
won't.
wins?
I wish. I'll be in here watching film. But, truly to think about, golly, the Yankees and the Red Sox could meet in a one-game wild card. I'm trying to think of what, there were a couple of those Game 7s, I think about 16, probably 17 years ago that had to be pretty big Game 7s, when they met. The year where the Red Sox won 4 games in 4 days. The year before that, the Game 7, who hit it? I think Boone might have hit it, to end that one. So, and then obviously in 1978, his first name, if he has 3 names, I know the first name's Bucky and the last name's Dent. And that was off of that would have been off Mike Torres. So, I think they've had some classics.
All right. I think that the Boone hit. I think you guys were playing CSU at that time. I think I remember trying to keep up with both of them at the same time.
I wasn't here. I think I was in Denver at that time.
Okay. We were in Fort Collins. Either way, I digress. How much of a difference maker is Sean Chambers? As a starter when he's in, they've been very, very good. I think
they
13-3.
Have been exceptional. And that's really over a good number of years, And then I think it definitely helps also that you have 2 quarterbacks. The other one that's a freshman, but he's played for 3 years, and so it just that kind of works into the math of what goes on too. So 2 outstanding players.
As far as versatility goes, Xavier Validae is as good as you're going to find in this league, catching balls in the backfield. What do you see out of him that makes him so dangerous?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jesse. He has very good hands. He's powerful. He can go forward, meaning going downhill. They're committed to going downhill, but also anytime they do any of their drop back stuff, being able to check a ball down to a guy that can make a snag and get 7, 8 plus. It truly stretches your defense when they throw it.
I'm curious your thoughts on James Jones. He has fought tooth and nail to get back from injuries and get in the lineup, and he gets an interception. How cool was that to see?
It was awesome, and his family happened to be there too. Phenomenal verve, drive. There's nobody that's more about competing and about just the juice of your team than James is.
Their linebacker is it? I don't know, Muma, I think is how you say it. What do you see on film when you look at him?
Yeah, he's everywhere. He just he's very stout at the point of attack. Yet the pursuit angles are about as exact as you can get in terms of the right instincts to take the proper path on perimeter runs. And he kind of follows through in a line. For last time we played him, the guy they had there as an inside linebacker was a pretty darn good player too.
And he's from just up the road, but he said he couldn't even consider Air Force because of diabetes. Had you looked at him before you learned that?
Usually what we do, we go through, our first two filters are the academic part of it and then the medical aspect of it. And the reason why we do that is, especially with the academic part of it, we get where maybe anywhere probably from 10 to 15% of the kids that we really can recruit on the academic part. So that ends up being a really, really significant filter. Rather than looking at all these guys and looking at film first, we do it the other way around here.
Wyoming probably has as many Colorado guys as any school, any D1 school around in terms of out of state. Is that a focus here to keep in-state guys? I know CSU and CU talk about it a lot. Don't necessarily always follow up with it. Is that a priority for you at all to make sure in-state guys stay if they fit all those boxes? Or
yeah, if they, I think anybody could say that. I think okay, when your cards really are shown and they're face up. I'm trying to think, like where George Sylvanik, the guy playing at Stanford right now, quarterback Isaiah Sanders. A guy named Laufenberg played here. A guy named Charlie Scott was a punter here. Elijah Brockman plays here. We were just talking about James Jones. He's from the area. I could go on probably for a while where that's the case. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, and the tight end from Ralston Valley, another guy from Pomona, and then a fullback from Ralston Valley who's gained a few yards this year.
So you have a lot of those guys. Is that a product of prioritizing it, or is that the visibility you already had with them? Like, how does that all come about?
The most thorough state that we are, hands down, and we recruit nationally. We do limit ourselves to 50 states, and I say that just because the citizenship is a part of being able to recruit here. It's a requisite to come to the Air Force Academy, but the state that gets hit the hardest is right here.
And with the offensive line shifting with all the injuries and different combinations, has that been more complicated this year because of the experience factor coming into the year?
Ooh, baby, yeah.
What challenges specifically has that presented?
Just, golly, you have so many you have so many really new guys. I don't have the exact number, but I can't believe there was anybody in the sport that had less returning starts coming into this season than what we had. I think we might have had, maybe a couple at San Jose last year. We might have 2 or 3 starts, and that's it coming into this season. And that'd be a good one to ask for the exact number, from these guys. But and then it hasn't been the same 5 guys each week.
Yeah, I guess that's my point, is the amount of change. You finally got, somebody going at right tackle, and then suddenly you got to integrate somebody new. Has that required more of your attention to look in and be an assistant?
Are you pulling a little bit? From the top of your scalp, but that's the reality, it's and so rather than getting spun up about it, just work from what our facts are, that way, and those guys have responded. They've worked really, really well, and you've heard me say it, and it just because just the job that Steed's done too.
And then with Corbin Taylor, I mean, 4 turnovers I think he's been a part of this year.
He
Is
recovered 1 and 3, yeah.
Is that a product of being in the right place at the right time, or do you think there's something to guys who have a knack for creating that?
Well, I think the one thing that does come into play, and there probably is a little bit of it being in the right area, but the other part is having some ball skills too. And I just think there are just some guys that just know where the ball is, and it happens in basketball too. You're a defender. The reason why some guys get a bunch of steals is they know where the ball is and they have great ball skills, where a deflection or a snag or, being able to it plays a factor in a good number of sports. I think a little bit it's like shortstop. In baseball, you know where to line up, maybe 2 more steps that are this way. And where that ball's pitched and the bat speed, the barrel of the bat relative, gives you a 1 more step jump to maybe get to a few more assists or putouts, I think it happens on the back end too. It happens in football. I think it's probably tends to be maybe most prevalent at either the safeties, more so than maybe the other 9 positions, just because you do have vision. You tend to play the most often with vision on a quarterback, and there are a few more balls that are in your vicinity. There are more center field chances than there are in left field or right field, if that makes sense.
Well, we've had this exact conversation about Weston Steelhammer, and you had kind of seen that in baseball with him. Did you see anything with Corbin Taylor leading up to this? That
I wouldn't say it's exactly the same.
But had you seen, was he a multi-sport athlete where maybe you saw some of these ball skills, or was it in football that you saw?
Yeah, I just not that I can recall in that regard.
Okay. And do you have any respect for what Craig Bohl has done there in terms of just changing the tone of that program and the style of play? I know he came in wanting to make it more representative of the state he's a part of, and so he wanted to just be simple, run the ball, play good defense, change from the spread looks they were doing, things like that. As a football connoisseur, do you like that? Do you like when a program kind of matches the geography and the makeup of the people?
I'm trying to think. They had a quarterback there that I don't know if that was always their emphasis. And the quarterback they currently have, the quarterback, I don't know if that quarterback was drafted in the first 8 picks or 7 picks of the draft, because that was the case.
I think he was a happy accident, though. I think and he did run the ball well too. But
he did. You're right. He did have some good carries. Yes, sir. You said respect, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, Corbin. Let's start with this. Last week in New Mexico, do you feel as the defense you guys performed to the best of your ability against that offense, or is there still stuff to work on?
Oh, there's absolutely still things to work on. We haven't reached our potential whatsoever. There's still a lot of things we can learn from, a lot of mistakes we can clean up. Obviously, we gave up 10 points, and anytime you give up points, there's things you can clean up. So,
looking ahead to Wyoming this week, are they another opponent on your schedule, or do you consider them a rival? Do you consider them – what do you think of them when you play the Cowboys?
Well, obviously we play them every year. They're on our side of the division, and they're 3 hours-ish up the road, so it's kind of a close game. I don't know if we consider them our rivals, but they're a great team every year, so we really enjoy playing them and getting that opportunity to, play a good team.
I was talking to Trey. He was in here last week, and I was like, Corbin has been kind of ball hawking a little bit. For you, where is that success attributed from, do you think?
My interceptions?
Yeah, interception, just being able to turn over the ball.
Definitely just my teammates and my coach and our coaching. My teammates, obviously, pretty much all my interceptions came off the passer was rushed. He threw the ball off time. And my coaches just put me in the right position. They tell you where to be, and I'm there when I'm supposed to be there, and the ball kind of finds me.
When you look at the Cowboys this week, played a number of different types of opponents this year. What are the main, I would say, bullet points that you guys are focusing on this week?
They run a pretty standard offense for our division. A lot of more 12 personnel, a lot more big tight end looks. They'll spread the ball out, and at the same time they'll put the ball under center and hand the ball off a lot. So it's just it's gonna be a pretty balanced. They have a very balanced attack, which is cool. So it'll be a pretty good game.
You guys got the win against New Mexico, so obviously that's what matters. But you gave up 10 points, and you seem very upset about that. So, to defensively, your standards. I mean, if you don't shut them out, is that not a win for you guys in a way?
Well, I mean, every week the goal is to shut your opponent out, but that's in football nowadays. It's really hard to do. So when you do get a shutout, it's a really big deal. But that's obviously what our goals are. We have big goals for our defense, knowing the potential we have. So, but I think we played well overall. But again, there's a lot of things we can clean up, and we're gonna get ready for next week.
And you guys obviously have a deep secondary back there, a lot of competition. What's it like just in that room and how you guys kind of battle it out there for practice?
Oh, it's awesome. I haven't been this year, this room. We have talent across the board, so deep. It's just awesome because you get to watch. We get to compete every day at practice, and you get to watch your teammates, ball out, and it's like that we're all going to make each other better, and that the whole room is like just helping each other and going to support each other no matter what as well.
What do you do when you're not playing football for fun?
What do I do? Well, I do a lot of schoolwork here. I mostly just hang out with my teammates, do schoolwork. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much else to do.
Do you play video games? A lot of you guys say you play video games.
Yeah, I do play video. I haven't played recently because in the season in school, but usually when we're not in season, I do play a lot of video games typically.
Yeah, so a few weeks into the season now, I mean, where you guys started as a defense and where you are now, where have you grown so far?
We've just grown pretty much everywhere. Our fits are a lot better. Our keys are a lot better. We're seeing offenses used to the tempo of the game because you can never match the tempo of a game in practice. I think we're all just getting a lot more comfortable. And we're just improving and getting better with our fundamentals every week, especially.
Do you ever set personal goals for yourself during a season?
I'm not a big personal goal guy. I'm a big team goal guy. So, we want to win games. We want to win the CIC. We want to win the conference. I want to especially for defense goals, we want to have a top 5 defense, that type of thing. But I'm not a big personal goal guy.
I can't remember what word you said when describing their offense for the Mountain West. Was it basic or what was the word?
So it's pretty standard.
Standard, yeah.
I guess there's a lot of teams Boise, San Diego State, Wyoming. They all run the same. They run a lot more tight end sets, but then you have Utah State, Fresno just sling the ball a lot. But they run a good offense. I mean, it's good schemes, but it's pretty. It's nothing like Utah State's offense, I guess, is how I'm comparing it to.
When they are rolling, what is it about them that makes them work offensively?
They're just a well-coached, good team every year in and year out. So they know what they're supposed to do. They have great bodies, and they run their scheme really well, I guess.
And from what I've seen against them, even back in Josh Allen's junior year, when the quarterback is able to get out of the pocket and make things happen, it seems like everything kind of goes off of that. Do you see that with what they're doing this year? I guess so. I mean, it's like every team. Once the quarterback's out of the pocket, they can create plays, and it's hard to play, especially when you're playing coverage. It's hard to play coverage for that long. But I guess that's pretty standard for every team, I would say. And Coach likes to go into baseball analogies a lot with us when talking about you and your ball skills. He mentioned like a shortstop taking 2 steps before the pitch is thrown, or a center fielder getting a read on a ball. Do you have a background in other sports that is helping you, that you're feeding off, or is this just all football instincts?
Well, I played pretty much every sport growing up when I was little, but in high school I just played basketball and football. And out there, it's just we get a lot of reps in practice, and we have with Coach Rudd and Coach Cox and Coach Morris, they diagnose plays, and if you're around it long enough like I have, you pick up on some things, you pick up on tendencies. So it's just cool to see the coaching and learning and actually seeing it in a game.
What kind of adrenaline rush do you get when you do, when a play does develop and you get the pass rush and you see a quarterback throwing off balance or something and it might be coming your way? What does that feel like in that instant?
It's kind of weird, but kind of goes slow motion for a little bit. You see the ball flight and you're like, oh, I better not drop this. And then you pick it and then it kind of speeds up again. And it's a really cool feeling. It's all really slow and fast at the same time. And then you're just excited. You get to celebrate with your teammates. You're helping your team win.
And is there a tendency on the part of the defense to, if you're talking about team goals, your stats are still really good. If Utah State had gone differently, it would be a whole different picture. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's no benefit in looking back, but is there a tendency just to second guess what you guys did that day and to dwell on that at all?
I don't think we second guess or dwell on it. We sure learned a lot from the game, and we implemented a lot of those things the next week at FAU, and then we carried it on to New Mexico. So I think in a way that loss and how many points we got that game was good for us early in the season because we learned just so much about how we're going to play and what we're going to do as a defense, and it was really good for us.
And is there a specific stat that you would like to see? Total defense, rushing defense, scoring? Is there one that stands out to you? Obviously, interceptions are a big deal, but that you would like to see this defense accomplish?
Well, as a team, Coach Rudd always hits on it. You got to make the offense one-dimensional. So you got to stop the run. So that's one of our big goals as a defense. And then secondly is you got to get off the field on third down. So when we stop the run and we get off the field on third down, we typically have a lot of success as a defense and force turnovers. So forcing turnovers is super big for us too. Like New Mexico, I think we had 2 or 3. I don't know. But we forced turnovers. We got off the field on third down. We stopped the run game, and we played really well. So that's what we focus on every week.
We'll start off with this, Hawk. I asked Coach this, and he dismissed it. But do you feel a pattern in how the offense has been progressing from FAU to New Mexico in terms of just taking more steps each week at all?
100%, yes, sir. I mean, our O-line especially is brand new. A lot of other guys, they've played a little bit, but we're more of a newer offense. Every game we play, we get a little more in sync with each other. We're all new to each other. We're all getting more in sync. And every game we're kind of improving. So, I mean, it shows, too, with how much we're rushing for, too, how well we're doing. I think we're definitely getting better every step we take.
New Mexico game, you guys ran the ball basically every play aside from one. Did you feel the confidence building throughout that game, or is it just something where it's like, okay, we're just going to still stick to the game plan?
I mean, the confidence always builds when we run, like, our base plays, our run plays. We have our certain, like, bread and butter kind of plays, and when we can do those and get 4 to 5 yards every play, the confidence definitely builds in us, and I think we all play better when we're all confident in each other and in ourselves and our coaches. So, yes, sir.
Going to Wyoming, or having Wyoming come to you guys this week, when you look at them on film, what defensively, what do they do, and how do you, without giving away the game plan, of course, plan on trying to manipulate that in your favor?
So their defense is always, I mean, pretty sound throughout the years, obviously. They're always a good team. They got good players. They're always, like, fundamentally sound. I think it comes down to just winning our one-on-ones and following our coach's game plan and hoping for the best. Just kind of doing what we do, play our game, and win the game.
Final question for me is, Brad Roberts is I think the definition of consistent. Would you agree with me on that? And what do you think continues to make that? How does he have that success each week, do you think?
Brad, I mean, his numbers show for himself. I mean, he's averaging, I think, over 100 yards a game right now. And, I mean, for him, he loves running downhill. He loves gaining yards. He'll lower his shoulder, lower his pads, and he's not afraid to do the dirty work kind of. He's a great fullback for us, and he'll just run through people if we need him to.
Hawk, you said the O-line's improving each week. What ways do you see it improving?
The first one is kind of camaraderie. We've only had 2 starts coming into this season. We've never really played together like a full season or even like a game together. Especially we have a few guys coming back from turnback, and so we haven't really had our time to bond like we have in the years past. And I think every game we're kind of getting that. We're getting closer. We're building confidence and trust between each other, and I think it's showing with how well we're playing.
And Isaac was in here a couple weeks ago, and he talked about the O-line before you guys and obviously the talent that left last year. And he said you guys are, still have a long way to go to kind of live up to that. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah. So, I mean, I like where we're going. I like where we're at right now, and I like kind of where we're headed as an O-line. But last year they were phenomenal. I don't exactly like to say that we're living in their shadow, but I think, they were definitely more experienced, a little bit older guys. They played with each other a lot. They're all in the same grade. So I think for us to get to where they were at, just trust-wise, it'll take a few more games. But I think we're in the right spot. We're going in the right direction. And I think we could definitely do it.
You said that you guys were definitely, like you said, stepping in the right direction. What did you learn from those guys last year?
I learned so much from them. I was being behind them the last 3 years or whatever. Just, learning from them not only how to play football, how to play fast, play low, but even just team leadership, team camaraderie, stuff like that. They just taught me so much, and I was blessed to be behind them.
Is Hawk your given name?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Where did that come from?
So there's not really a story like most people would think. So I have an older and a younger brother, both with just kind of generic names, and then my mom let my dad name me, and I guess he just
That's your story,
he
right?
just decided with the name Hawk. Yes, sir.
What are your brothers' names?
So it's just Eric and Jake.
Eric, Jake, and Hawk.
Yes, sir.
Did you get that question a lot growing up?
Yeah, good amount.
And going back to the offensive line's development, how difficult has it been with so many guys getting hurt and then a new guy jumping in as you're trying to build that continuity?
So I mean, there's definitely gonna be some growing pains at first, but the good part is we practice a good amount together, and so we're all kind of in sync with everyone, not just the starters or who plays. We're pretty in sync with everybody through practice, just because we do a lot of different looks with people, and we kind of rotate in. It's not always just the ones, the twos kind of stuff. So it wasn't too bad, and I mean I know a lot of the guys. I mean I'm good friends with a lot of them too, so that always helps. And just you always have to have that next man up mentality that it doesn't matter who's in there, they're going to succeed, and you just got to go forward with that.
And has there been any complication? Like last week, I think 3 sophomores started. That's a lot of sophomores to start on the line. Has there been extra communication to make sure everybody knows what's going on, or did all these guys step up knowing exactly what to do?
I mean, so far they've been great. They've stepped up. They've known exactly what their job is, exactly what to do. I mean, maybe some of us older guys have to help them a little bit with just the speed of the game and how to remain calm in the game. But other than that, they know their stuff and they were ready. They played great.
Do you think, just the sheer size of you guys, physical size, has helped? In the past, if Air Force was playing with 250-pound linemen, you had to execute perfectly. Do you think you have a little more margin for error bringing in new guys when they're 320 pounds?
I mean, I don't know about margin for error. I guess when it comes to just pounding the rock kind of up the middle, I could see that definitely, because we are bigger, we're a lot stronger, and we can kind of displace people more. But I mean, we're still doing a lot of our outside runs where you need to show your speed a lot, and I think we're still doing well at that. And I mean, there's never margin for error when you're out there blocking a corner one-on-one with the whole world watching you.
How hard is that because as a pulling guard, you are on the edges, and what do you weigh? 320, 325?
I'm 330 right now.
330.
Yes,
I mean, where do you develop that skill to do that?
Just practice and Coach Lobo pounding in their brains. Coach Lobo's a great coach. He sets us up for success every time, and it's all just up to us going out there and performing.
And what were you weighing when you got here? How much have you added while you've been here?
My freshman year?
Yeah.
I was right around 300.
Okay. And, some of the rules changes, not doing some of the endurance tests while you're, has that helped you to maintain and add this weight?
I definitely think so, yeah. I mean, it might help a little bit, I guess, but then again, we are doing football every day or lifting every day, so we are still doing, physical activity. So in the end, it's just trying to, know your body.
Yeah. So what's your schedule going to look like after December? Are you going to have to cut a certain amount of weight, or are you thinking NFL, or what is the...
My goal is just straight cut. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I have many NFL aspirations right now. If it happens, it happens. But right now, my goal is graduation, number one. And to get there, I'm just going to have to cut as much weight as I can while still trying to be healthy.
What do you think you weigh in May?
Only God knows. I don't know.
Awesome. Okay.
I got one more for you. You guys go out there and rush for over 400 yards. Obviously, in the O-line, that's tough work. But are you still, are you guys having fun out there when you kind of have a game like that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we all come here and we all play this game because we love the game of football. And, football is obviously more fun when you're doing well. So when we can get 6 yards of carry or 5 yards of carry every time, big guys like to hit a little bit. So it's always a good time when we're just running the ball. And then we get back to the sideline after a touchdown or something. We're always just laughing it up, but then we're straight back to serious with Coach Lobo talking about the next drive.